Hey y'all, welcome back. Great news, Rumination is done. It is being uploaded to the world now. I know it's on the iTunes store already because I've already purchased a copy and paid myself. I haven't seen it pop up on Spotify yet and haven't really checked anywhere else, but I do have the full version of the song on the channel now, so feel free to give it a listen. I also uploaded Mr. Perfect. I got some new artwork for those things, so we'll talk about that. And just wanted to pop in here and go over all the things that went into finalizing the song. So here we go. I probably did enough things to where I should have made you another update video. So I apologize about that, but it was just so many little things that were taking, it was like plug in the guitar, tune it, record 2 power chords and put it away. And I kept telling myself, we're so close, don't worry about it. And then when I put together the list of all the things I did, I was like, oh crap. First things first, retracked the bass and the rhythm guitar. Really the only issue was they were just overprocessed. I needed to make some changes, and the changes were starting to really show how much I had done to those parts. And so I re-recorded it. And the nice thing is, and I think this is a sign that I'm getting better, is I achieved better results with less tools, less plugins, and less fidgeting. So I think that means it's a step in the right direction. So we got a new bass, new rhythm guitar in there. Spent a lot of time sorting out the low end in general, because on this song we had some extra parts to deal with. So we had these bass pads in the beginning to deal with. We had this. So just a lot of carving out frequencies for all that stuff to fit. But ultimately we got it in there. I think I did something like a deep cut to the low end of my pad bus here, because I was really looking for the kind of upper end filter from the Moog was really what I was after. It was less about the deep part on that. And actually on the piano part, I had my lower octave doubled up. So I was playing with my thumb and pinky on a lot of the parts, and I took out the low notes because it was just unnecessary. So I tightened it up that way. Effects wise, I changed my reverb mindset a little bit on this song and waited to do, I like if there was an instrument, like if there was a reverb built into the guitar amp, I added a little bit, but I saved most of my final reverb thinking for what I did was a band room, and then I did drum room, with my mindset kind of being that maybe my band recorded in 2 studios. So the keyboards and the guitars are going to the band reverb. The drums have their own reverb. And then occasionally I have some other stuff that were for very specific effects. There was some big booming reverbs just for like one kick drum boom in the bridge. And then the other cool thing that I did, which was a new technique I've never done before, was I put Valhalla delay on the master bus here. And I just mixed in just a little bit at transition zones of one of the shimmer settings. So kind of just a long, almost like a reverby sort of delay, and just mixed in up to about 25% to kind of glue the transition zones together with echoes and sounds. And that gave a really nice effect for areas like this. So you can hear it come in. So that was nice. And then like up down here, this really makes it sound big and grand. And then it almost like sucks back together, back to your ears. But that's what I was going for there. I added a sub drop to the chorus. So I'll show you what I did there. So here's the little sub drop. I threw this together in about 20 minutes. That's probably pretty quiet for you to hear, but it's quiet in the song. Let me show you what that looked like. A lot of times when I come into Serum, what I like to do is I changed the number of sections here to 0 and 0. And then if you just do the line setting, you can just draw your own waveform. And I just like to, when I open Serum, I just draw a random waveform. If I have something specific in mind, I will use like a saw, but I would still draw in my own saw with its own bumps and stuff, just to add a little bit of character. And the reason I started doing that was, I remember when I first got Serum, they have like the Mini Moog waveforms and the Juno waveforms, and they all have some funky little characteristic that deviates from the standard perfect drawn saw wave or triangle wave. And it's just in that spirit that I do something like this. At one point I had my own, all the basic waveforms, I had my own version that had its own little sonic, fingerprint in there. So, and then all I did was just an LFO pitching the coarse pitch up, and then bumping a low pass filter with high resonance. So you could see the filter barely moves. And then it was just all about timing and shaping between this LFO and the envelope over here. Very simple. It wasn't supposed to be that prominent. It was just supposed to really bring that chorus to life. So that's the sub drop that's in there. Simplified some more stuff, a few of the drum fills where there was just a little too much going on. And it became clear that the more important thing to do is to make sure that the band sounds tight, especially at the points of kind of like intense syncopation. So down here at the end, just very tight. One drum hit per thing. Bump, 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 What's different on this song with the horns compared to Mr. Perfect is I manually altered up the horns parts. And the reason for that is I wanted to span the octave range a little more. So one trumpet is always one octave lower. And then the nice thing is there's a couple parts in the bridge where I thought a trumpet harmony would really be a nice way to go. And this way I can trigger that and have a little bit more control over it than just a feature where you can add a fifth, or a unison or an octave. That's built into straight ahead jazz horns. And I probably still don't use that plugin to its full potential yet, but I don't think I do that in anything in life, because once I have an idea about how I need to do things for that particular task, it's like, okay, I figured it all out. Good. That just goes for a lot of the things in the studio, because music just makes sense to me in that way. I don't know why. So two trumpets working together, slightly panned just a little bit, and occasionally I do a little back and forth. I added some guitar harmony to the bridge. The solo was just lackluster. So this was the original part here, and I added a low. So added a low octave just to support there, and then same thing here. This was the original. And it just, it kind of almost sounded a little out of tune. I know the intonation is a little off on my guitar. I got to get it reset up. So I added this little harmony, and that made it kind of pop better. So there's that. What else? Like I said, a lot of it was just making big decisions on the arrangement and the composition. So for instance, there was a different keyboard part. There was a part here that I had written that was like, I don't know if add a key is the right thing, but it was a noticeable deviation from the basic chord progressions that I had built up until the last part of the chorus here. And it was on the keyboard that was kind of setting it. How did it go? It went bump. It was kind of like dissonant, like bump, 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 ba-na-na-na-na-na-na. And it didn't wrap up that section with a nice little bow the way that I wanted it to. So it hurt, because I thought it was really cool and kind of just a neat dissonant sounding part. But for the sake of the song, what I did, and I did this like yesterday, right before the final bounce, was I thought, so in this part of the chorus here, so the left hand is playing this little bass part that sort of doesn't match with everything else, but it fills in all the gaps kind of perfectly. And it was meant to do that. So in between everything going dun dun dun, if you listen, you'll hear that left hand hitting on the keyboard and just filling in some of the gaps. Meanwhile, the right hand plays dun 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 dun. And then in the second part, it just plays the right hand treble part in the bass octave though. So that was kind of a game changer for just the sake of tightness of the song. I did some volume automation on the master bus. So that was something that a technique I had heard about and just kind of forgot to do it on Mr. Perfect, to be honest with you. But if I go to the volume of the main out, you can see my chorus is boosted just a little bit. And that just brings your attention to that part and says, hey, listener, this is the loudest, the most catchy part of the song, the most memorable. This is what I want you to be singing in your head later. Let's talk about the upload experience this time. So when I first uploaded Mr. Perfect, DistroKid kind of prompted me to consider using their mastered version. And it was already like when I was setting up, nice baby. When I was setting up the metadata and everything, there was the option to normalize the volume, and it said, oh, we charge you $2.99 or whatever. And if we check it and we don't have to do anything, then we won't charge you for that. But the first time there was additionally, we can also master your song for you for $10. And with Mr. Perfect, I opted for it. I think I fell into the trap of the loudness war. So anyways, when I uploaded Rumination, I did not get prompted for that. I did opt for the loudness normalization, but I already bounced my mixes at -14 LU BPS, I don't know, whatever, LU something S. There really wasn't much for them to do. And after the uploading went through and I realized, oh crap, this song's going out into the world, I didn't get to master it. So after the fact, I went to Mixia, which is like their web app for mastering, and uploaded the track, bounced a copy of it just to see what it did. And essentially what it did was take away my volume automation in my main, and make everything sound really bright. So I guess I'm feeling a little nervous that I blew it by not uploading the louder one. But at the same time, I Googled reviews of Mixia, and the first thing I found was, this is garbage. It just makes everything really loud and not dynamic. And so the funny thing is that I'm feeling like a little regretful, but at the same time, why would I use a mastered version that eliminates the exact dynamics that I engineered into the track? So yeah, it was just a dilemma. We'll see how it goes. I don't think you're going to notice that much, that it's not quite as like compressed punchy, just like smashed punchy as Mr. Perfect. But I think it's actually probably a little more balanced than I'm just being a sucker for the loudness thing. That's really it. That's all I can think of, man. Stoked to be done with that one. Finally, I was getting, I got to the point where I told myself, this song's going up this week. So you need to work harder. If you want it to be better than Mr. Perfect, you need to because I was having a little bit of, fighting some procrastination battles. I don't have it all together. I struggle with ADHD and all sorts of stuff, and so I got into a little bit of a funk for 1 week there. We're well on our way now, and I've got another song ready to go. I've got the graphics for the thumbnails already done. It's a slower song. It's still kind of just as dark and gritty. I think it'd be really fun to do. So thanks so much for following along up to this point, and I hope you enjoy Rumination. Go out and find it. make sure you're giving it some listens and some likes, and subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Spotify, and buy the track on iTunes. Do all that fun stuff. And yeah, enjoy, and we'll see you around to start a new track very soon. Thanks for hanging out, guys. We'll chat with you later.